Hey everyone, welcome back to the Daily English Listening Podcast. I'm Michelle, and if you want an immersive listening session, this podcast was made for you.
And I'm Chris. Ready for today's topic, Michelle?
Yes, I do. Let's start.
There's a truth almost nobody wants to hear, Michelle, because it makes you take responsibility for something really uncomfortable.
Now I'm curious, what kind of truth is that?
The kind that explains why millions of people spend years working hard, sacrificing their time, and still never reach the place they dreamed of.
That sounds heavy. Is it about talent or maybe luck?
That's the surprising part. It's almost never about talent, intelligence, or opportunity.
Then what is it?
A much quieter enemy. It shows up right when the results are not visible yet, when the effort feels pointless, and when nobody notices what you're doing.
And that's the moment most people quit.
Not because they couldn't have made it, because they couldn't wait a little longer.
That is such a quiet tragedy.
It really is. Today we're talking about patience and why it might be the real secret behind every success story. Not the talent, not the luck, the waiting.
And if this is already feeling useful, this is a good moment to subscribe to the Daily English Listening Podcast so you never miss an episode.
And a like helps more people find us. It really does.
And honestly, this topic matters because most of us are in the middle of waiting for something right now.
A reply that hasn't come, a goal that hasn't happened yet, a version of yourself you haven't become.
And the hardest part is that nobody sends you a message telling you how much longer you have to wait.
There's no countdown, no progress bar.
That's precisely why so many people quit right in the middle without ever finding out what was on the other side.
So today isn't about being told to be patient. It's about understanding why waiting is so hard and what to do while you wait.
One story at a time.
Let's get into it.
I want to start with something that happened to me 2 years ago when I decided to train for my first 10-kilometer race.
I remember this. You bought very serious running shoes.
Very serious shoes and a plan. Week 1, 2 kilometers. Week 8, 10 kilometers. It looked so simple on paper.
Plans always look simple on paper.
For the first 3 weeks, I felt strong. I could see myself getting faster. But then week 4 happened and nothing changed.
Nothing at all?
My time stayed the same, down to the second, for 12 straight days. I wasn't getting worse, but I wasn't getting better either, and that felt worse than failing.
Because failing at least gives you something to react to.
Here is something we want to ask you.
Have you ever felt like nothing was changing, no matter how hard you tried?
Tell us about it in the comments below. We genuinely read every single one.
And don't worry if it still feels unfinished. That's kind of the whole point of today's episode.
Right. Standing still gives you nothing. I remember running past my own front door one evening and thinking, why am I even doing this?
That's a dangerous question to ask yourself mid-run.
It really is. I felt discouraged in a way I hadn't expected, like the whole effort was pointless.
Discouraged. That's a good word for it. It's when you start losing your confidence or your motivation because things aren't going the way you hoped.
That's the feeling, more or less. It's the closest word I have for it.
What kept you going then?
A strange kind of stubbornness, honestly, and a text from my running coach who told me flat weeks were completely normal at this stage.
Did that actually help?
A little, but mostly it helped just to hear that someone else had seen this pattern before and it hadn't meant anything bad.
So it wasn't just you alone doubting the whole plan.
Right. I told myself I would give it 1 more week before deciding anything.
And?
In week 5, my time dropped by almost a full minute. Nothing had changed on the outside, but apparently something had been building underneath the whole time.
So the plateau wasn't actually empty.
No, it was where the real work was happening, quietly, without any proof.
That's such an honest story, Michelle.
It taught me that persistence isn't a personality trait some people have and others don't. Persistence means continuing to act even when you have no evidence yet that it's working.
I like that definition better than the dictionary one.
There's actually one more detail I didn't mention. On the morning of the race itself, my legs felt heavy before I'd even started.
That sounds like a bad sign.
I thought so too, but I remembered the 12 flat days, and I told myself heavy legs at the start line didn't mean anything about how the race would actually go.
So you just started anyway?
I just started anyway, and somewhere around kilometer 6, the heaviness disappeared completely.
Like it was never there.
Like it was never there. I finished 11 minutes faster than I expected, and none of it would have happened if I'd quit back in week 4.
That's a powerful ending to the story.
Okay, Chris, your turn. Do you have a story like mine?
I have the opposite story, actually. A story about the year I almost gave up on something.
Oh no, tell me.
3 years ago, I started a small cooking channel online. Nothing big, just me and a camera in this kitchen.
I remember the lighting was terrible.
The lighting was extremely terrible, but that wasn't the real problem. The real problem was that after 4 months, I had 11 followers.
11?
11. My own mother wasn't even one of them because she doesn't know how the internet works.
That's rough.
Every video took hours to film and edit, and almost nobody watched them. I kept checking the numbers like they were going to suddenly change overnight.
The numbers rarely change overnight.
They really don't. And after 4 months, I sat down and told myself this wasn't worthwhile anymore. I was ready to delete the whole channel.
What stopped you?
My sister asked me one question. She asked if I would still enjoy cooking and filming even if nobody ever watched.
That's a good question.
And the honest answer was yes. I loved the process itself. So I decided to keep going for 1 more month, just for me.
And?
In that 1 month, a single video got picked up by a bigger page, and within 2 weeks, I went from 11 followers to over 4,000.
Just like that?
Just like that. But here's the part people miss. The breakthrough didn't come from that one lucky video. It came from the 11 followers I almost quit on.
Meaning the video only worked because you had months of practice behind it already.
Right. If I had given up in month 4, there would have been nothing ready to be discovered in month 5.
So giving up would have erased all the invisible progress.
Every bit of it. That's what scares me now when I think about it.
What did the comments look like once people actually started watching?
Honestly, that first week felt surreal. People were asking questions I'd been waiting 4 months for anyone to ask.
Like what?
Like, what knife do you use? Or can you make this vegetarian? Small questions, but they meant someone was actually paying attention.
After 11 followers, that must have felt enormous.
It did, but looking back, the 11 followers were doing something important too. They were teaching me how to explain things clearly, long before anyone else was watching.
So even the quiet followers were part of the process.
Every one of them. I just couldn't see it until later.
Do you still have that first video, the terrible lighting one?
I do. I actually rewatch it sometimes, just to remember what month 1 felt like.
Why put yourself through that?
Because it reminds me that the beginning is always going to look small and a little embarrassing, and that's fine. That's just what beginnings look like.
So let's talk about why people give up right when they're closest to a result.
This connects back to what I said in the hook, actually. That silent enemy shows up right in this exact spot every single time.
Not at the beginning, when everyone still feels excited and full of energy.
And not at the end, when the results are finally visible.
Right in the flat, quiet middle of it all, where nothing at all seems to be happening on the surface.
I think it's because progress isn't a straight line. It's flat, 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 then suddenly a jump.
But our brains expect a straight line. We expect effort in, result out immediately.
So when the line stays flat, we assume the method is broken.
When really, the method might be working perfectly. It's just working somewhere we can't see yet.
Underground, kind of like roots growing before a plant appears above the soil.
That's a lovely way to put it.
Thank you. I've been saving that one.
Of course you have. But seriously, that image matters. Nobody criticizes a tree for taking years to grow roots.
Yet we criticize ourselves after a few weeks of quiet effort.
We do. And I think part of it is that other people's success looks instant from the outside.
We see the 4,000 followers, we don't see the 11.
We see the finished race. We don't see the 12 flat days before it.
So patience isn't really about waiting calmly, it's about trusting a process you can't fully see yet.
That's beautifully said.
I try sometimes.
I actually think there's a bigger question hiding underneath all of this, going back to what you said at the very beginning.
About the silent enemy?
That's the one. If the real danger isn't a lack of talent, but the moment when results aren't visible yet, then the whole conversation changes.
Because you're no longer preparing for the hard part.
You're preparing for the boring part, the part where nothing is happening, where nobody's watching, where you have to trust something you can't measure yet.
That's a very different kind of preparation than most people expect.
It is. And I think that's the actual secret hiding inside today's title. It was never really about waiting. It was about surviving the middle.
The middle is where almost everyone quits.
There's also a difference between patience and passivity, and I think people confuse them.
Meaning?
Meaning, patience isn't sitting back and hoping things improve on their own. It's still showing up, still working, while accepting that results take their own time.
So patience with action, not patience instead of action.
Precisely. If I had just waited without running during those 12 flat days, nothing would have changed in week 5 either.
The waiting only worked because you kept moving through it.
That's the whole secret, really. Keep moving, even without proof.
I think that's why quitting feels like relief in the moment. It removes the discomfort of not knowing.
But it also removes the possibility that was building the whole time.
So the real skill isn't talent, it's staying in an uncomfortable, unclear place a bit longer than feels natural.
A bit longer than everyone else is willing to stay. That might be the entire difference between the people who make it and the people who almost did.
There's another piece of this too, and I think it's connected to comparison.
How do you mean?
Well, when we scroll through other people's lives online, we usually see the 4,000 followers, not the 11.
We see the finished race. We don't see the 12 flat days before it.
Right. So we end up comparing our messy, unfinished middle to someone else's polished, finished result.
And that comparison always makes our own progress look slower than it actually is.
Which makes it even easier to convince ourselves that we're doing something wrong when we're not.
I think that's honestly one of the most discouraging parts of trying to build patience today. Everyone else's timeline looks so visible, and ours feels completely hidden.
But hidden isn't the same as absent.
I like that. Hidden isn't absent. I think this applies far beyond running or cooking channels, too.
Definitely. Think about learning a language, which is basically what everyone listening to us right now is doing.
That's such a good example. There's always a stretch where your listening improves, but your speaking still feels stuck.
The flat stretch again.
The flat stretch again. And a lot of learners assume that stuck feeling means they're doing something wrong.
When actually, understanding usually improves first, and speaking catches up later, quietly in the background.
So if you're listening to this episode and thinking your English still isn't where you want it to be, that's not proof of failure.
It might just be week 4.
It might just be week 4.
The same idea shows up in relationships, in careers, in almost anything that actually matters.
A new job feels awkward for months before it feels natural.
A friendship takes years before it feels effortless.
None of that means something is wrong. It usually just means it's still early.
I think the real question isn't, is this working? It's, am I still willing to keep going without an answer to that question yet?
That's a much harder question to sit with.
It is, but I think it's the only honest one.
Let's make this practical. How can we actually say this kind of thing in English?
Good idea. Say you're tempted to quit something. You could say, I've been at this for months and I don't see any results yet.
Or more specifically, I'm starting to feel discouraged because nothing seems to be changing.
If a friend is going through this, you might say, don't give up now, you're closer than you think.
Or, this might feel pointless, but the work is probably still adding up somewhere.
And afterward, once something finally works, you could say, that breakthrough didn't come from nowhere, it came from every quiet week before it.
Those sentences sound a lot more real than just saying, be patient.
Because be patient doesn't explain anything. These sentences actually describe what's happening.
which is the whole idea behind today's episode.
Let's try one more. Imagine someone messages you saying they want to quit their English studies completely.
I'd probably say, don't judge your progress by one flat week. Judge it by the whole month.
Or the fact that this feels hard right now might actually mean you're improving, not failing.
That's such a kind way to reframe it.
I think kindness matters here. People are often much harder on themselves during the flat stretch than they'd ever be on a friend.
True. If a friend told you they'd been discouraged for 2 weeks, you wouldn't tell them to quit.
You'd tell them to stick with it a little longer.
That's precisely the kind of thing we're teaching today.
One last example. Imagine you're job hunting and it's been weeks without a single reply.
A useful sentence there might be, I know this is worthwhile, even if it doesn't feel that way this week.
Or, I'm not going to give up after 10 rejections when the 11th one might be the one that works.
That last one is oddly specific.
It's oddly specific because it's basically my cooking channel story again, just with job applications instead of videos.
Fair enough. The pattern really does repeat everywhere once you start noticing it.
Now it's time for Word Tour, where we slow down some useful words from today's conversation.
These words will help you talk about effort, patience, and staying with something difficult.
Next word, persistence. Repeat after me. Persistence. One more time. Persistence. And the last one, persistence.
Persistence means continuing to try, even when things are difficult, or when you do not see quick results. For example, her persistence during those quiet weeks eventually paid off. Or, persistence matters more than motivation, because motivation comes and goes. And real persistence is not loud. It's just showing up again the next day.
Here's the next phrase. Give up. Say it with me. Give up. Once more. Give up. And to finish it off, give up.
To give up means to stop trying to do something, usually because it feels too hard or too slow. For example, he almost gave up on the channel after 4 quiet months. Or, don't give up on a plan just because week 4 feels flat. And giving up right before a breakthrough is one of the most common mistakes people make.
Next word, worthwhile. Try it out loud. Worthwhile. Again, worthwhile. And the final repeat, worthwhile.
If something is worthwhile, it's valuable enough to justify the time or effort it takes. For example, I sat down and told myself this was not worthwhile anymore, right before everything changed. Or, a slow project can still be worthwhile if you care about the process. And deciding something is worthwhile shouldn't depend only on quick results.
Moving on to our next word, discouraged. Give it a try. Discouraged. One more round. Discouraged. And one last time, discouraged.
To feel discouraged means to lose confidence or motivation because things aren't going the way you hoped. For example, I felt discouraged running past my own front door that evening. Or, it's normal to feel discouraged during a flat, quiet stretch of any project. And feeling discouraged doesn't mean the plan is failing, it might just mean it's working slowly.
Last word of the day, breakthrough. Repeat after me. Breakthrough. Once more. Breakthrough. And the last one, breakthrough.
A breakthrough is a sudden, important success that happens after a long period of effort or difficulty. For example, the breakthrough didn't come from one lucky video, it came from months of quiet practice. Or, most breakthroughs look sudden from the outside, but were actually years in the making. And waiting for a breakthrough is easier once you understand it's usually built in silence first.
And our last phrase, stick with it. Say it with me. Stick with it. Again, stick with it. And to finish it off, stick with it.
To stick with something means to continue doing it without quitting, even when it becomes difficult or boring. For example, she decided to stick with the training plan even after 12 flat days. Or, the hardest part of any goal is learning to stick with it once the excitement fades. And people who stick with it rarely feel confident the entire time. They just keep going anyway.
So those are today's words: persistence, give up, worthwhile, discouraged, breakthrough, and stick with it.
Try using one of them today in a real sentence about something you're currently working on.
Before we go, Michelle, I keep thinking about something.
I know, those 12 flat days.
The ones where nothing seemed to change.
Right, and I think the real lesson isn't that patience guarantees success.
It doesn't.
It's that giving up guarantees you'll never find out what was building underneath.
That's the part that stays with me too.
So maybe the secret was never about waiting perfectly. It's about refusing to leave the story unfinished.
One more week, one more video, one more quiet day of effort.
That might be the whole difference.
If you're listening to this and you're in your own flat stretch right now, I hope this episode gave you a reason to stay one more week.
Not because success is guaranteed. It genuinely isn't.
But because you'll never know what was building underneath if you leave now.
And that not knowing is a much harder thing to carry than the waiting itself.
And if you enjoyed thinking about goals today, we have an episode about speaking about your life goals in English. It's a natural next step from here. The breakthrough is closer than it feels.
This is Michelle.
And this is Chris.
Take care of your English.
And take care of your heart. Bye, everyone.
Bye.